get in, get settled, ready to go. And afterwards, we will be kicking off Australia's first ever virtual whiskey game show. So a little bit exciting, creating a little bit of history hopefully here tonight. But we'll give you all a couple of minutes to get settled. And once everyone's in and ready to go, we'll be kicking off the action very, very shortly. Hope everyone at home is preparing their whiskey knowledge and hopefully a drink as well, because we've got 30 minutes of questions coming up, and you will be able to participate from home in chat as well, which is a little bit exciting. Share with us what you're drinking tonight also. Always interesting to know what everyone's got in the glass. I suspect, look, I can already see that everyone's going through perhaps their samples from round number 3, and we'll chat about that in just a second. I got mine today. I opened them up earlier, and I can confirm they all, to me at least, smell like whiskey. So I think that is a pretty useful start for this particular.
Yeah, and that's why you're the host, mate.
That's why I'm the host. It's my whiskey knowledge is right up there, and I can use it to determine. Sometimes I think it's whiskey. Is it? Probably. It's probably not rum, right? Like I got that part. Definitely not
sure one is rum.
I wouldn't ask David to throw in a curveball there, so maybe there is one that's not whiskey in there. I don't know.
Yeah, look, you never know. It could be a surprise, and some coloured gin comes through, and you never even knew what was going to happen. Who knew? But hopefully not tonight. I've checked them all. I think we're good to go. But I think if we're getting into it, we might kick this one off then. Again, guys and girls, welcome to Game of Drams, Australia's first ever virtual whiskey game show. It's all about the whiskey. The points don't matter, which is good, because I suspect who even knows how many right answers we are going to get tonight. My name is Ben Green. Most of you, if you are from the whiskey world, have no idea who I am. It's probably because I am an esports competitive video gaming host. If you do by chance know who I am, it's probably because you read that one single article I wrote on Kotaku about 5 whiskeys to start with, and you all absolutely hate it. So thank you very much for your feedback, and you can leave comments later on.
I actually think I read that article, Ben.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I did.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. If you haven't read it, you definitely should, and you find out what my top 5 whiskeys are, that's for sure. But thankfully, we do have some experts here tonight as part of our panel. Exactly right, inverted commas. Xander Lee Brown, May Lawrence, and Dan Hutchins Reid. Xander, great to have you on, mate. How you going tonight?
Oh, I'm going all right. Very excited. I'm usually banned from this kind of event, so yep. I'm super excited to be here.
That's good. I'm glad we overturned the ban for this one night and got you on board. It's good to have you. May, great to have you on board. I think you've taken more photos of me in the one event I went to than my mum has ever taken. How are you going?
I'm good. You must have been sitting in that magic spot that I like store the barrel.
Yeah, the last seats left literally were right up the front. Apparently no one wanted to sit there. Yeah, absolutely. Dan, good to have you on board. How are you going tonight, mate?
Mate, amazing. This is I'm going to add this to my list of events I've snuck into as a supposed expert.
That's good.
Yeah, it's great. People keep letting me back, which is, so it says something. I'm not sure what it says, but
it's all about the whiskey. It doesn't matter if you get it right, and you all know more than me, and that's the name of the game. Well, it's not. The name is Game of Drams, Drams even. We obviously have Ollie and Chris here as well from the Whiskey List, putting the show together, keeping scores, keeping me on track. We're going to have 3 categories tonight. Our first is a whiskey quiz. Fortunately, it will be all multiple choice, which is, I think, lucky for May, Xander, and Dan. Otherwise, it could get a little bit awkward. They also have buzzers. So for the first round, they're going to get to buzz in. May, what is your buzzer? Give us a test.
Springbank.
Springbank. All right. Fantastic. Xander, what are you coming through with?
Cask strength.
Cask strength. That one's going to get me tongue-tied. And Dan?
This one's going to come as a big surprise for everyone. Archie.
Oh, that's a good one. All right.
People in the office here who didn't expect me to yell that right now.
Yeah, that's going to get a little bit weird later on. We're going to be 20 minutes in and like, why does Dan keep saying Archie?
Yeah,
I think we know where we were.
He's finally lost it.
Yeah, exactly right. if you're watching, thank you for joining us. You can, of course, join in on the action from home. Put your answers in chat as we go along. You won't be spoiling it for our contestants. They won't be reading, so don't worry. We'd love to see if you can do better than they can. Just type them in as we go through. And potentially, if you get the highest score, we'd love to have you on board of a future show, probably to replace either Xander or myself, I suspect, going forward. You'll never know. We'll see how we play out. And, of course, I need to introduce David. He probably needs no introduction. And he is the final judge. He's got his clipboard. He's got his side rule stopwatch ready to go. He knows the answers, which is fortunate because I most certainly don't. And the only other thing I'll put out there is I'll be assigning points as we go. I'm just going to make them up depending on what I think. I've gone through. I've looked at the questions. If you get a wrong answer, and if it's the same wrong answer that I would have picked, you get one of these ones.
That's maximum points, right?
That is maximum negative points. Absolutely right. Maximum negative points. So definitely don't want to get the same wrong answer as me. And I think we are good to go. Let's kick off round number 1 of Game of Drams. We'll bring this one up on the screen. Question number 1. Now, this is multiple choice, so don't prematurely buzz in here. We'll give you the answers in a second. What year was malt whiskey first marketed and sold outside of Scotland?
Archie.
Yes. What is the answer, Dan?
B, 1922.
Well, that's awkward. That's Dan. I'm glad to see you're the first on the scoreboard. By the way, a good -10 for you because that's what I would have said. 1922. It made sense to me.
Well, you got it right then, didn't you? Isn't that?
No,
Yeah.
not correct. All right, we have 2 players left between May and Xander. Who's next to buzz in?
Cast strength. I'm going to call it 1896 because I just feel like 1947 is too late.
Unfortunately, you are also incorrect.
Really?
Xander, May,
It's
it's 50-50 here. What do you reckon of the last 2? What do we think it is?
I reckon it's C, 1947.
1947. Well, look, all I'm going to say is, David, we've got 3 answers up here on the board, and to me, according to the answer that I've got, none of those are correct.
We covered this at the start. We were experts, I think was the...
Well, 1963 is obviously the correct one, and Xander, it was Glenfiddich.
Yeah, I thought they were much earlier than that.
No, that's the whole thing. Is that's why blends still dominate.
Oh,
90% of
I'm
whiskey
sure-
is still blends because of that.
I'm gonna check that out because I'm gonna come back to you because I'm pretty sure it's a lot earlier than that. But
Yeah,
Get in the challenge, and if I get a phone call halfway through this game with the correct answer, like they used to do on Sale of the Century, I'll let you guys know. So everyone with wrong answers, I'm going to give -2.5 to both May and Xander. Dan coming in with the big negatives earlier for getting the same answer that I would have come out with. So that's question number 1 in chat. Look, I think we're going to replace everyone with chat next week going forward by the sounds of things. Let's go ahead and take a look at question number 2. Glenmorangie stills are the tallest in Scotland. How tall are they?
Quite tall.
very
Quite
tall.
tall.
Very tall. Not that tall. Maybe so tall.
Cast strength. I'm going to call it 7.26 meters.
7.26 meters. Incorrect. -3 for you, Xander. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Who's next? Who's up? We've got 2 left. May, Dan?
The question
Archie.
is how.
Dan, what are we looking at?
I've noticed on your presentation that the option D is a slightly darker black to option A, B, and C.
Well, in that case, what will your answer be?
And unless this is an elaborate ruse, I'm going to lock in D, 5.14 meters. Again?
Look, all I'm going to say, Dan, is correct. That is the right answer. So you get plus 10 points for being correct, minus 15 points, however, for cheating. So I'm really sorry. That's going to be -5 for you. But I do believe that 5.14 meters is the correct answer. And
And did I say something with
David, do you want to give us the details around that one?
Yeah, what do we do?
That's Glenmorangie's. They trot out their little. I was going to say zebras, but giraffes at their events, and because they say it's a big thing. What is the significance? Well, the taller the still, supposedly the lighter the spirit, because the gravity is at work. So only the lighter spirits get to the top. The rest kind of fall back down. That's what they call the reflux. So the shorter the stills, the heavier, more full-bodied. The taller the stills, the lighter the spirit.
That makes perfect sense.
Obviously, a lot of other factors involved, but that's one of the reasons.
Dave,
and that's why whiskey in Australia is entirely different, because we have to make it upside down. I get it now. That's why we're winning all them awards.
Gravity's against us.
It's what you do with it.
Exactly. It's not size that matters. It's how you distill your drams that really counts. Let's go out there. All right. Question number 3, Ollie. Let's chuck her up. Corio in Geelong was regarded as the largest whiskey producer in the Southern Hemisphere in what era? Is it A, the 40s and 50s, B, 1900s to 1920s, C, 1960s to 1980s, or D, 1970s to 1990s?
Archie,
Dan.
you've obviously made this more difficult because these are all the same shade of black.
Nice of you to observe.
Yeah, well, it's constructive feedback. I'm going for the 60s to 80s, option C.
Did you say the 60s to 80s, option C?
Yeah.
All right, because my sheet says something entirely different, but that's what it says on the screen. Unfortunately, you're entirely wrong. It is not option C. Minus 3.33 points for you there, Dan. May and Xander, who's up next?
Car strength.
Oh, whatever.
Oh, I don't know. That was pretty close. Xander,
I'm gonna give it to May. Come
all
on,
right, May.
I'm going to take my whole distillery, so you can go, Zan, if you want.
I'm going to call D. Before my time. Before my time, mate.
70s to the 90s. D is also incorrect. You had less to pick from, and you still got it wrong. That's minus 5 points.
Standard.
You, Xander. All right. May, you're the last one standing. Question 3. What are we looking at?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm going to go for A, 1940s and 50s.
1940s and 50s is correct. Plus 1 point to you for that one, May, because there was literally only 2 to pick from. So congratulations on getting the coin flip. David, do you want to talk us through this one?
Yeah. Well, Corio is from Geelong. It's quite infamous, and distillery was built in 1928. They released a 5-year-old blend after that, and they took advantage of the shortage of whiskies coming out of Scotland after the war. So it was the 40s and 50s at their peak, and but massive, even in today's scale. They had 5 million liters of spirit at one time, and in the first 4 years, they released 8.5 million bottles of whiskey into the market. And obviously, that was downhill from there on. Once Scotland and the rest of the world started picking up, distillery closed in the 80s when there was a whole lot of distilleries even in Scotland were closing and never reopened. But a lot of Australian whiskey history there. Luke McCarthy has written quite a bit about it in one of his books on Australian whiskey. So I didn't make the stuff up. But it's if you can get hold of any bottles of Corio, we've got to try some. I haven't tasted any of you guys.
Yes, I have.
I can't even pronounce it correctly, so I definitely have not tried it. But it does sound... That was a lot of... It feels... I'm not a person, obviously, who works for... someone who makes whiskey, but it sounds like a lot of whiskey to produce. It sounds like a lot of bottles.
It's quite a bit, yeah.
I think even nowadays, the biggest Australian distilleries, they had 5 million litres. The biggest ones are 200 to 300 litres, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. Wow.
I have a point of contention on this. 40s, 50s being the correct answer, but Melbourne is obviously about 20 years behind Sydney generally anyway. So if you add that on, I think you'll find that C is actually a correct answer. You agree with me?
You're alienating our Melbourne viewers.
Yes, it's kicking them when they're down, literally. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not having a very good time. Hopefully everyone's staying at home and enjoying a whiskey tonight. Thanks for joining us again. If you are in chat, don't forget to be jumping in with your answers yourselves. Obviously, as you can clearly tell, you're probably doing a better job of answering the questions correctly than we are. And look, if you're watching this later on down the track, don't forget, hopefully we're going to be doing this regularly, so make sure to check out the Whiskey List on Facebook and whatnot so you can be part of the action down the track. So let's move across now to question number 4 of this round. What whiskey does Judi Dench drink in the movie Notes on a Scandal?
Oh, come on.
Is it A, Macallan, B, Glenfiddich, C, Lafroig, or D, Johnny Walker Blue Label?
Springbank.
Is there an answer E for who fucking cares? Or
Oh,
Look, I've got one of these as well for you. I got this one as well for you, Xander. You just got to give me a little bit of notice that you're going to come out. It's there. It's there if we really need it. All right. I did hear a Springbank in there. What answer have you got for us?
oh, well, I thought maybe Macallan, A.
Macallan A is incorrect.
Oh,
Not correct. And,
No,
but I will say congrats on going in first. Minus 1 and 1/8 points for you, May. I hope Chris is doing a good job of keeping track because I'm not. I heard an Archie come in there. Dan, what do you think it is?
I'm going with D, the old keeping on walking.
Yeah, it has to be for sure. Really?
No, that was my answer as well. I'm sorry, Dan. That's minus 25 points for you for picking anything. Johnny Walker's the same points that I got when I did that article for Kotaku, and I put Green Label in there as a whiskey to buy because I think it's pretty good and good value. But whatever, everyone hates me anyway, so you can have some of that as well. Minus 25. All right, Xander.
May loves Green Label. Okay,
I love Green
she
Label.
loves it.
I think it is tip top.
Absolutely nothing wrong with it.
I should get
For points, Sander. Right?
He's fishing for it here.
Absolutely not.
Right.
I expect to come last, and I'll be pretty disappointed if I don't. So I'm going to call it Lafroig for sure. C, Lafroig.
Lafroig. Congratulations. Lafroig is correct. I'll give you 2 points for picking that one up and an extra point for saying it correctly. Congratulations on that one, Xander. I don't know if you're still on negative points, but slowly clawing your way back. Slowly getting it back. David, have you got insights on this particular one? It's a movie story. Why was it there? I don't know. You tell me.
Well, for no other reason than it's one of the tasting themes I present is called malts in the movies, and it's one of them. Macallan is the red herring there because when Judi Dench plays M in the Bond movie, she drinks Macallan. But she plays a very dark character in Notes on a Scandal, and it's very appropriate that Lafroig is there. It's not one that would normally pop up in movies. Maybe she drinks it in real life. Who knows? But that was just a.
I can't see her drinking Lafroig and enjoying it though.
Wow.
She's so dainty.
Villains drink Lafroig, right?
Villains drink Lafroig. I'm sure Suntory doesn't want to hear you say that.
I'm sure if anyone was going to drink it, it would be Judi Dench. That makes sense in my head, at least. We only have one question left of round number 1. I did not know that. Question number 5. Which of these is not a single malt whiskey? And I don't know how to say half of these, so just put them up on the screen and someone else can say them for me. Is it A, B, C, or D? Yes, Xander.
Glenmorangie?
Incorrect. But I like the uncertainty in the way that you said that, preparing ourselves for round number 2.
There's 2 of those things that I wasn't sure on. I'm yeah.
Springbank.
I'm only going to give you -1. Only -1 for that one, Xander, for taking a shot. To get out there, I give it. Appreciate the effort. May, I think you were in just before Dan. What do you think it is?
I think I've lost everyone.
Sorry, I missed that one. Can you swing it through for me one more time?
Q-Bokken D. Oh,
It is not Q-Bokken, if that's how you say it, because that's what I was going to put in there, but apparently that's not correct either. So unfortunately, -7 points for you on that one, May. Dan, I heard Archie come in just at the end. You got 50%. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for some of that sweet A action. Give me some of that. Lock it in.
How do you say it?
Glenmorangie.
Something like that, and that is correct. Well done. You're going to give you a nice picking up one of these, not a single malt. The answer is actually A. So I'll give you 5 for that one, because that's, look, I didn't know how to say it. So not so bad at all. David, what's the story behind? Obviously, it's not a single malt.
Yeah, well, Glenmorangie is one of the single malts. It's called a single malt, but it's the Aldi brand. Q-Bokken is the Tomaten peated range. Westland is an American single malt, and Blevaux is a blended malt made by Inver House, who they own Old Pulteney and Balblair and a few others, and it's got about 20 different single malts in it. And it was excellent. It was an 8-year-old, available through the Coles chains for about $40. Long gone, but if you find any in the wild, it's worth getting.
There you go. The more you know, right there. Take a look. Everyone will be out with their shopping list after tonight. Thanks to you, David. So, and that brings us to the end of round number 1, and it's over to you, Chris. You have hopefully been keeping score, because I certainly haven't. I just throw out random numbers and hope that you're writing them down. How are we going for the scoreboard right now?
We're doing pretty terrible, to be honest. We've got Dan in the lead to the negative, actually, with an X, a correct, a -3, a 25, and a 5, all totaling up to, probably -20. We have Zan right there, just in an average position of -13, and May in the surprising lead with -6.
-6, not bad at all. Looks,
if anyone gets a positive score on this game, I'm quitting there and then. That's it.
We're doing pretty well. I suspect some of the people playing from home in chat are doing probably a little bit better than us right now. Yeah. But I'm going to move it along to round number 2. Round 2 is called Say What. In this particular round, we're going to be naming the whiskies, or more so saying the names of the whiskies. A lot of distilleries and whiskey names are written in Gaelic. They're not pronounced in the way that they are written. So we are interested to see how the Scottish goes here for our panel. So we're going to bring up a whiskey. I'm going to ask each person in order how they say it. And I believe we're going to have an expert come in and correct us with the actual pronunciation. And I'll score. I'm not really sure what this is even based on, but having a go is certainly important. So I believe there's only 3 whiskies here to look at. Let's bring up whiskey number 1. Xander, I am going to start with you. How do you say this one?
So that one is Glengarry.
Say it again.
Glengarry.
All right. I'm not going to say if this is right or not, because I have no idea. Dan, we'll go to you second. How would you say this?
I've got a strategy for this sort of game, and it's to pretend you're as Scottish as possible and put on your best Scottish accent. So, Glengarry.
That's pretty good. I don't mind that one. That's a pretty good one.
I drew the facial hair just for this, actually.
Just for this particular occasion. May, what do you think it is?
I think it's Glengarry. Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty good answer as well. David, are you coming in with the answers here? Have we got an expert? How are we pronouncing these?
We should have an expert in the audience. Ross, are you there?
No.
Expert in whiskey names.
Somebody asked about Ross Blaney, but it is once we find Ross, it is both two. You got it right. It is Glengarry is the correct one.
Yes. Is that extra 30 points there?
I don't even know who got that right, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm just going to go. Xander, you can have 5. May, you can have 4.5. And Dan, I liked your Scottish. I'll give you 3 because I'm not even sure if you got it right. But you can go first next time around. All right, let's go and bring up whiskey number 2. How do you say this, Dan? I'll go to you first.
Lasheg.
Give us that one again.
Yeah, it wasn't a cough. That was actually my guess. Lasheg.
Sounds reasonable to me, May.
I think that's the key here, right? For being Scottish.
You just got to throw it out there. I think just make it as loud as possible. Yeah, sounds good to me, May. What do you think?
Lacheg.
Okay, Xander, what's your
Lechig.
Again?
Lechig.
It sounds like how if I wrote this into my computer and got it to automatically say out how it would say the actual written pronunciation. Anyway, David, we'll go back to you. What's the answer?
Yeah, everybody pretty much got right. It's Lachig. It's kind of clearing your throat, but that's what it is. So that was pretty easy.
Pretty close. Pretty spot on. I'll give you all 5 points. Look at this. Across the board, I have no favourites here because I don't really know anyone. So that's the benefit of having me. I know nothing about whiskey. I don't know who anyone is. So no favourites played by Ben tonight. We have one more in this round. Let's go and take a look at our third and final whiskey of round number 2. And May, we're going to go to you first. How do we say this?
Bunnahabhain.
Yeah, and what about the word down the bottom?
Oh, wow. That's a trick.
That's not a word.
Sturadere.
Sorry, what did you say?
Sturadere.
Yeah, not bad. Almost. I don't know who's next. Xander, we'll go to you.
So it's Bunnahabhain, but yeah, Struideg.
What did you say, mate? That's no swearing, okay? It's inappropriate. Dan, we'll go to you. What do you think we've got?
Everyone clearly got this wrong because this is known as bunny, is how this works. And the thing at the bottom, I'm fairly sure that's where they've just taken a bunch of different letters that don't belong together, placed them next to each other. I don't think it counts as a word.
Apparently, it's the Gaelic meaning for helmsman on my little picture. Yeah, because I am an expert in Gaelic. But David,
it's Ross.
We do have
we do have our real expert. Ross, please save us from ourselves. How do we say this this particular whiskey?
Well, I'd just like to add that the first lot were all terrible. But good tries. So this one we got, first of all, Bunnahabhain. You get that V sound in there.
Are you sure?
Yep.
It's like bunny.
100%. So Bunnahabhain, Sturadere.
Sturadere.
I think that's exactly what everyone said, right? No, not even remotely, unfortunately. Thanks, Ross. That's it's useful to have. What do you know the first two? Do you want to give us the correct pronunciations of Glengarry and Lechig using?
Well, yeah. I mean, Glengarry. I think everyone was pretty close with that one.
Yeah.
I did like Xander's one because it kind of sounded like the guy from Snatch. If you've seen that, they go Gary. That is kind of just like that.
Like do you like Doug's? Like that guy or a different one? I'm not sure.
It's a different guy, but he shouts on his mate Gary, and it just sounded just like that. It was great. And then the other one was Lechig, which everyone was pretty close on as well. I mean, it was quite close. I know I said it was terrible, but that's just more fun to say.
I think they all did pretty well. I think May and Xander, I'll give you 4 points for your efforts on the last one. Dan, I'm not even sure. I think you said it was funny or something. Yeah, you have 10 points. See if I care. We'll put you back in the race. And
the real expert. I think it's becoming clear now. I appreciate it.
Now you know why Archie Rose is always sold out. Okay, it's things like this that are putting us out on the map. Thank you very much, Ross. That was very helpful because we had no idea how to say any of those. Certainly not with the correct accent. And that brings us back to Chris. What are we looking at on the scoreboard at the end of round number 2?
Despite how it all sounded, actually, that was a pretty good round. Zan is right there in the middle between the two of them with 14 points. Dan, you're in the lead, surprisingly, with 18. And you're doing okay. You know, you have 13 points for this one. So I would try and combine them, but I'm not that good at math. So I'll wait to the end to see who's actually in the lead.
We'll wait to the end. No worries. That brings us up to our third and final round. Now, earlier on in the week, we were very fortunate to be sent 3 numbered samples. Look like this, but they do have whiskey in them originally, but I poured it out. 1, 2, and 3. And we sent these, obviously, to our panel of experts here to try and work out what they think are in each of these 1, 2, and 3 samples, as you can see on my desk. And it's a little bit of a bit of everything, right? So we want them to describe what they think the whiskey tastes like and give us the best description that they can. And then also at the very end, tell us what they think the whiskey is. And we'll be scoring them mainly on their description. If they get it right, I'm going to give them lots of points, but they're almost certainly going to get it wrong. They can't even pick when Scotch was first marketed outside of Scotland. So 0 chance of picking what these are. Anyway.
Go hand in hand. You're right.
Yeah, exactly right. We're going to start off. All right. I'm going to go back to the top. We'll start with you, May. I want you to give me your description for whiskey sample number 1.
Number 1. Well, being on the lower North Shore, I get a lot of cold pressed produced here. You know, cold pressed only, and that's what I get on the nose. Also, you know, hanging out a lot with Chris Ross. I think I smelled a bit of Maeve's pureed pear in a little plastic packet.
Good old Maeve.
That also came about. A bit of cream clover honey, but yeah, I think that was a bit earlier on because it's kind of changed now. But on the palate though, it's pretty inoffensive. You know,
pretty inoffensive. I'm sure whoever made this will be very glad when they find out that that's what you said. Yep. Anything else?
Do you want my guess, or do you just want I get a bit of shortbread? Yeah. You know,
give me a guess.
The one that comes
what
in
do you think it is?
those old what's that brand you get in Speyside?
Now?
Yeah.
Walker's
shortbread. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
A bit like Walker's shortbread.
Glen Whisky.
Is that your final answer?
Well, if you want me to name it, I think it's Glenmorangie 10.
Glenmorangie 10. That is incredibly incorrect. Unfortunately, it is not Glenmorangie 10. I will give you 1 point for that description, May. I didn't know if your heart was in it, to be honest. And it's okay. You can work on it for next time. All right, let's go to you, Dan. Give us your description for whiskey number 1.
Look, first up on review, packaging, very poor. Their brand value, it doesn't even say the brand. So, closure, no cork. What is this? What's going on here? Low points on packaging for whichever whiskey this is. I haven't obviously seen these whiskies until tonight, but so this is my first tasting. It's just going off my complete nose here. But for me, this is, I think, what we in the industry would term a breakfast whiskey. This is sunshine, liquid sunshine in a glass. Think a midsummer's day in Speyside, green grass, long fields, hairy coos, all that sort of stuff. Bright, juicy American oak coming through, lovely Speyside style. As May said, some fresh green apple, that real crisp Granny Smith style. Bit of sweet toffee, makes me want more. And I'm going to put this, I think, it's a tough one. I'm with May. It's definitely a Speyside. So that's narrows it down. Like
I didn't even know they made whiskey in space. That's where
we're all learning.
All learning something today. That's where the height of your still really does not make a difference because there is no gravity.
Absolutely.
I'm going to lock in Glen Grant, I think.
And a lock in Glen Grant's, and you'll also, of course, be incorrect. But I like that. You can 6 points for that description. It's not so bad.
I'll take it.
Xander, I'm hoping you can save the day though.
Cool.
And come through. What do you got for us for whiskey number one?
I'm definitely not guessing the whiskey because I was also thinking Glen Grant. But my tasting notes. So nose, I got a bit of green banana, a bit of char grilled pineapple, and some barley sugars. Palate, got a little bit of green peppers and heather, some toasted hazelnut, and a little bit of burnt nutmeg. And the finish was like nice and light and dry with a little bit of like sort of toasted spice to finish, which was pretty lovely. It's a delicate whiskey. That said, it's definitely Speyside Highland. I think it actually might be a Highland. It's a bit too. I feel like it's a bit too gentle to be a Speyside, if anything.
What do you think it is?
Yeah,
Come,
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know. Let's throw it out there and say Macallan. Just for funsies.
I don't know why I pushed the buzzer, but it's not Macallan. But your description was okay. Like
they're
you can have
doing so well.
You can have like 2 points, I guess. It's okay. Well, let's move on. It can't go downhill from here. Whiskey number 2. I'm going to start with at the end.
Yeah,
we'll go through them at the end.
We can tell them now if they want.
You want to know?
Misery.
All right, okay, I'll put you up. It was Bushmills.
Oh,
in fact.
God damn it.
Irish.
Yeah.
Told you it wasn't made in space. You guys had no idea. All right. Dan, you can start us off with whiskey number 2.
Probably the same company because, I mean...
Yeah, exactly. Look, this is some great insight. I hope they're taking notes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is
you don't get this sort of insight for free, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Colour, quite a bit darker. It's actually a bit of a pale pink almost, which to me from the outset suggested some kind of port cast finish, but I'm not too sure on that one. This is my kind of whiskey because I'm a massive sort of peaty and fortified wine matured whiskey style, which I think this is. Beautiful sooty sweetness to it. Definitely a big juicy one, but there's a sootiness that comes through. It's a dirty whiskey, if I can say that in the least sexual way. Good sherry influence.
Dirty in a good way?
Sorry?
Dirty in a good way.
It depends which way you think good is. That's do we have a pregnant pause here? Is that where we insert that? So something. Light spice towards the back of this one. Definitely my kind of dram. I want to say Brookladdy on this. That's my guess.
Look, to be honest, I honestly did not think anyone would get these, and so far, so good. Not correct. But look, yeah, that was okay. 2.5 points. We'll throw it out there. Don't worry. Who do we think? Xander, we'll go to you next. What are we looking at?
So nose, I got a bit of tawny port, a little bit of red berry, clove and sweet vanilla. Palate was very gingerbready with fruit mince pie, a little bit of sea salt, caramel, bit of grapefruit, like bitter grapefruit to finish. And then the finish was like quite spicy as well as that like little bit of smoke that you got with it. I'm just trying to think as well because it's definitely not an Isla, but it is a little bit smoky. Just trying to think of who.
It could be an Isla, couldn't it? I mean,
I don't think so though. Like the smokiness isn't like metallic enough.
Then. Jeez, it's fine.
Yeah, so's about it. I have no fucking idea who it is though. Like I have no idea.
If you're watching this later, just rewind and add the buzz over the fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, sorry, that one as well. What do you think it is?
Old Pulteney?
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, May. Yeah, look, you're going to get 0 points for that one. No, look, actually, I thought you did pretty well. I'm going to give you 7 points for that, Xander, even though it is incorrect. Incorrect. May, what do you think number 2 is?
Well, I don't know. You didn't like my notes last time, so I don't know why I bother.
Yeah,
but
just amp it up. Just turn it to 11. What do you got for us?
When I smell this, I smell like when you open like an old bottle of Grenache or something like that. Just that bit of that sediment, a bit of that wood, a bit of that mustiness. I definitely get that sort of sweet tawny or sweet port sort of influence. It actually, I feel like it's masking something else too. A little bit of peat smoke, not very much, but stewed prunes, a little bit corky, and a little bit of tomato jam, and even at the end, like half-eaten black cat lolly. At there, yeah.
Is it offensive, May?
Sorry?
Is it offensive?
I don't know. Are Chicos offensive? I think they are too.
Yes.
Yeah. Black fat lollies, licorice. Yeah. But it's any kind of licorice here. I don't know. Like after the first curveball in number 1, I'm almost thinking that this is a dram from the barrel that's sitting behind David there.
Oh.
And I think I could be very wrong on this one, and I probably am, but Bakery Hill in a port cask.
Bakery Hill in a port cask. Look, you're wrong, but I appreciate everyone just throwing out the port cask in there. Sometimes maybe you guys know what you're talking about. Look, that was a bit of effort, May. It was 4 points, so I'll give you that one for that. Unfortunately, the awkward thing here is for Dan, he's going to find out right now that it's from Archie Rose. No, it's not really. It's a Glenmorangie port cask finish 14, I believe. Does that sound correct?
I was going to say that, but I was like, it's too smoky.
I was going to say that too.
me as well. I had that out there. I don't know about you guys, but before I looked at the answers, I knew.
The Kinta Reuben, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And everybody got the port influence, so that's really impressive. Yeah, very good.
That was quite good. So we have one
reinforcement I can get at this point.
One left, and I think Xander, we haven't started with you for this yet, have we? So
no,
we will go to you. Try dram number 3. Give us your tasting notes, and look, 3rd time's the charm.
So number 3, I've got the nose of chimney smoke, passion fruit candy, and ocean spray. I've got a palate of heather, bitter lemon peel, a bit of burnt clove and nutmeg, and the finish is charred green chili with bitter walnut.
Very descriptive.
As for the distillery, I want to say, because it's like slightly smoky and kind of fun, and like relatively oily, you know what? I want to say that this is from...
We don't have all night, Xander. Come on,
I'm going to call this a Talisker.
I'm going to call it a Talisker. Yeah. Unfortunately, it is not a Talisker. May, we're going to go across to you. Give us your thoughts on dram number 3.
Oh, this one was a doozy for me. If there was going to be one sample that wasn't whiskey, this one threw me a little bit. But I get, sizzling that coconut oil, bit of white pepper, and dehydrated orange rind on this nose. But definitely wood-fired grilled peaches and a bit of white pepper on the palate. And maybe a bit of dark rye bread.
Rye bread. Wow. Yeah. Right on. I have no idea. It definitely smells like whiskey, right? So we've got that going for us.
Ben's never had rye bread in his life. He's no idea what you're talking about.
I don't. But I hate it when I get eggs on bread that's too hard to eat, and then you have to cut it, and it goes, who does that? Anyway, May, what do you think it is? What do you think you're drinking?
Oh, this one. I don't know. For me, I think it's either an Ardbeg or a Lagavulin.
look, I'm not an expert, but the image I said have. Certainly, it is neither of those. I'll give you 3.37 points for effort, because I think maybe that was certainly better than the first one. It is a. Is that everyone? Did we go through everyone? Have we done you, Dan? No, we got to go back to Dan. Almost gave it away. Dan, I'm too far into the samples. That's the real problem. What do you think this is? Give us your tasting notes.
I think Chris is the real loser here because he's got to keep track of points like 3.3 in that.
There's no real keeping track of points here.
I want to win. No, this is very familiar to me. Reminds me, right? If you set the scene, if you're sitting on the beach, if you can call it that, on one of the islands of Scotland, there's that saltiness in the air. It's sort of spring, summertime. It's quite a bright sort of style whiskey. I think it's spent a lot of its time in American oak, but I do suspect there's maybe a little bit of time in an ex-Marsala cask, potentially. Really, not my style in terms of not this fortified wine sort of character coming through, but a real straw sweetness to it. There's a particular sweetness that comes through on this. So this has pushed me towards thinking that it might be a Aaron Marsala cask.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Contentious.
And what would the whiskey be?
That's what I just said. So I take it. I'm going to change my guess to. Hang on.
That's cheating twice. You're just supposed to tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about, and that was your answer. You're all wrong. It's a Springbank 10-year-old, and look, -5 again for Dan for cheating. Look, that's two times. You do it again, you can't come back. I don't even know. So Springback 10-year-old. There you go. Your Bushmills 10.
May, is it
Glenmorangie 14. Quinta Rubin. Springback 10.
So much Springbank behind me, but I don't drink no more Springbanks.
Does it make sense now? Like if you go back, if you haven't finished them all.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bushmills,
I just label.
Can't believe I didn't get that Quinta Rubin. So mad about it.
I was quite impressed. You're all close on the port cask, right? So everyone seemed to pick that one up, but it's definitely pretty tough.
Hey Ben, one of the contestants from the comments on Facebook, a guy called Glenn Horder, got number 2 right. So
nice.
On those tasting notes, congrats, Glenn.
Not only did he get it right without drinking it, but got it right off these awful tasting notes. I don't know if that says that we actually picked a good panel or whether he's just a genius. I'm not sure which one, but
I think he's just a genius.
Yeah, big congrats, because that's quite the effort. Well done. Well done indeed.
I've got to stop drinking Bushmills in cocktails because that's like...
Yeah, because I've been making Bushmill cocktails and shit recently.
My ability to tell.
Oh, dear. Chris, I'll go to you. How did everyone score for round number 3?
Look, we seem to be doing pretty well par for the course here. Zan, you had a fantastic 9 points this round. Well done, sir. That put you right there smack dab at, 10 points for the whole round. So, basically this last round is the only one that mattered for you. Dan, you probably shouldn't have played this round. Put you back negative 2.5 points. And I think I missed a negative there as well. So
no, you didn't.
A bonus. And look, we all knew May was going to win anyway. So with 7.37 points, totaling for 14.67 points, we have May Lawrence for the win.
Congratulations, May. Look at that. Even if I didn't judge your tasting notes all that well, I honestly couldn't tell the difference between all 3. They all tasted like alcohol to me, and that's all that really mattered. So big tick in my book, but congratulations to May for coming out on top. If you're joining us from home, I'd love to see who you thought your favourite was. You can vote for your favourite contestant in chat. Is it May?
Vote for Dan.
Is it Xander? Or is it Dan, who stayed back at work real late to work real hard / be on this show?
Yeah,
look, who even knows? As long as you're there, that's all that really matters. So get your thoughts into chat. And I know Oliver and David will be keeping track of that one and let us know. Who we got any fan favourites right now, guys?
I'd have one.
Yes.
Me.
Can we continue to decrease the points?
Yeah, that's another minus 26 or something.
Minus 26.
I don't look. That's where we're at. So, look, Dan is definitely not winning, mate. Definitely still on top, and hopefully we got some favorites in the chat as well. So, I think that almost brings us to the end of the first show. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. It was so exciting. We took a whole 50. Thank you very much, of course, to Ollie, Chris, and Dave for putting this all on, to Xander, May, and Dan for joining us and allowing me to say mean things about them, and for everyone for watching, because it's a lot of fun, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. Before I close the show, hopefully we'll be doing another one of these. I don't know if we've got this locked in the calendar in advance or sometime in maybe a month or something like that. I think we'll be looking to do it again.
Almost exactly a month.
Almost exactly a month. That sounds great to me. So, yeah, if you've got any comments, obviously let us know. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to everyone once again. And hopefully we'll see you in a month for another episode of Game of Drams. We'll see you then.
Bye.
See you later.
Oh.
That was.
We're still live. How do I stop the live feed?
Minus 5 points for Ollie.
1,000 points for Ollie.
Doesn't even know how to end a live stream. It's okay.
There's no end live. It's just finished.
We're here forever.
I'm just going to ask, if you're watching at home, please just disconnect. That's the only way. We're going to keep this up for the next 28 days, and then we'll just have the same live stream running in a month when you come back. Probably the best thing right now. Okay. Ollie, just pull your PC out. I don't even know if it works.
Dun, 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 dun.
This may be the only interesting part of the whole night.
I know.
Guys, I'm gonna sign off so I can go home.
Yeah, okay, bye, Dan.
See you, Dan.
Bye, Dan.
See you, Dan. Thanks, mate.
Can you even do that?
Yes.
Wash your hands.
Bye.
You really
All right, guys, Dan's gone. The real show starts now. All right, we're going to start this again. Let's go back to the start. And finally he's gone. And
now we can talk shit about Archie Rose.
I drank all my whiskey though. It's all gone.
Sad
like
thing
the
about
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, when's
It's all right. I always have a spare bottle under the table.
Oh,
Is that Octo 7-3?
Oh, you know it is, beach.
It's delicious.
It is so good.
Oh, is that your lock stock? Nice one, man.
Somehow just got some in my eyeballs, which is also great.
so good.
All right, guys. I'm now officially ending the stream. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Sajah, guys.